It's back to school time again. Well, for most at least. So we hear from the Minister of Education on his plans for the academic year. And not only is school opening in September, we're also observing Prostate Cancer Awareness Month over the next 30 days. So if you or someone you know is a male over 40 years old, you'll want to stick around for information on one of the most common forms of cancer affecting Jamaican men. But before we get to those features though, here's some information on the Chikungunya virus, followed by the news. Stay with us.
Householders, business people, school administrators, protect yourself and your children from the Chikungunya virus. Be on the alert. Help control the mosquito population. Chikungunya is a virus transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which breeds in and around your home, workplace, and school. Destroy breeding sites. Empty old tires and all other containers where water can settle. Bore holes in old cans. Cover water drums and garbage cans. Wash flower pots and vases and clean pet dishes regularly. Protect yourself from mosquito bites. Cover your body as much as possible and use mosquito repellent containing DEET. And if you're experiencing symptoms of chikungunya, a sudden high fever, headache, rash, nausea, pain, stiffness, or severe joint pains, see your doctor or go to the nearest health center.
Good day, I'm Tamara McHale and this is your GIS News for Monday, September 1. The 2014-2015 new school year got off to a fairly smooth start this morning. Education Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites toured a number of institutions in the corporate area to speak with staff and students and ensure everything was in order.
Generally, I'm happy to see all the schools that we visited this morning in an advanced state of readiness, with teachers out and enthusiastic, and so many parents, and particularly many more fathers than I've seen in the past, come with their little children to infant school or to primary school.
Even as he expressed satisfaction with the readiness and preparedness of most schools across the island, the minister said some were experiencing challenges with water.
I learned of one school that was fully charged with water on Friday, but by this morning the community have helped themselves, and that isn't good. But apart from those temporary things, which we will have to all help with, the community, church, members of parliament, councillors, if we pull together, we're going to start off a good school year.
He also pointed out that most of the schools with unfinished infrastructural repairs will see the work being completed during the first half of the school year. And on the first day of classes, the Education Ministry has deployed 80 mathematics coaches and specialists to 150 primary and secondary schools to improve performance in the subject.
Principals and department heads have already been trained to lead the mathematics revolution in Jamaica, and the ministry is depending on them to ensure the successful implementation of this initiative in accordance with the National Mathematics Policy.
In his back-to-school address Sunday, Minister Thwaites also announced that 16 schools, 3 high and 13 primary and junior high, have now been taken off the shift system. This should allow for more effective delivery of the curriculum and efficient administration of the institutions. The Ministry of Health is encouraging school administrators to continue efforts to ensure that mosquito breeding sites are removed from school grounds. Director of Emergency Disaster Management and Special Services, Dr. Marion Bullock DeCass, says this should be an ongoing exercise, especially since the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which spreads chikungunya, mostly bites in the daytime and is generally found in and around places where people gather, including schools. The Ministry of Health has so far confirmed a total of 21 chikungunya cases for the country. There have been no deaths. Persons can search for and destroy mosquito breeding sites by getting rid of old tires and containers in which water can settle, punching holes in tins before disposing them, and covering large drums, barrels, and tanks holding water. Individuals should protect themselves and their children from mosquito bites by using insect repellent containing DEET, covering their body as much as possible by wearing long-sleeved clothing, for example, and putting mesh on doors and windows. The wards housed at the Mount Olivet Boys Home in Manchester are equipped to engage with the new academic year, due in no small part to the intervention of the Jamaica Information Service. As part of its ongoing support to the home, JIS has donated back-to-school items including school shoes, bags, books, and uniforms. The gifts were made possible with the help of sponsors including Johan Blake's Why Be Afraid Foundation, Joseph's, Sammy's Shoe Store, Fontana Pharmacy, and Kingston Bookshop. Donations of curtain and sheeting fabric were also received from Pink's Fabric, while Edgechem donated paint and $10,000 to the home. Items of food were also presented by Lasco Grace Foods, Trade Winds, and Caribbean Broilers. The JIS staff members who journeyed to the home on Saturday, August 23, also helped to iron some of the school uniforms for the boys and painted the dormitory. And finally, Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips is in Washington in the United States to engage in high-level talks with various stakeholders. Dr. Phillips, who left the island on Monday, will meet with officials from the U.S. Treasury and State Departments, the International Monetary Fund, the Inter-American Development Bank, and the World Bank. The parties will discuss how they can work together to reduce debt and grow the Jamaican economy, as well as other areas to support the country's development. A release from the Finance Ministry further stated that discussions would focus on Jamaica's macroeconomic programs and achievements under the Extended Fund Facility with the IMF. The Finance Minister, who will return to the island on Thursday, is accompanied by Bank of Jamaica Governor Brian Winter, Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica Colin Bullock, and Financial Secretary Devon Rowe. And that's it for GIS News Today. I'm Tamara McHale. Thank you for watching.
I'm Mario Mackenzie, Robin, captain of the Calabar High Track team. And me have a message for anybody who plan to take the tablet them, what the government give the schoolers for use in class. You never hear so them break the tablet them. That mean anywhere the tablets there, the government can shut them down. Plus GPS tracker installing of them. And even if you find a way, and you go around all of that, the minute you go up on the internet, them are going to know. So here what you do. Just leave the youth them with the tablet. Give them a chance to further them education. Makes sense, done.
Andrew Chisholm comes your way next with a roundup of the stories coming out of Jamaica House this past week.
Parents and guardians urged to ensure that children pay attention to their schoolwork. Northwest Clarendon School and community benefit from improved infrastructure. And
I'm so saddened by his passing.
Prime Minister remembers Roger Clark. This is Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Andrea Chisholm. With the 2014-2015 academic year officially starting today, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller is urging parents and guardians to do their part to ensure that children do well in school.
I want to encourage parents. Take a very active interest in your children's homework and their schoolwork and their performance. And let me say to you, even if a parent cannot read, all right, sit with that child and say, you come now, sit here and do the homework.
The Prime Minister added that her administration had put different measures in place to ensure that students and educational facilities were ready for the new school year.
This year, PATH has estimated that $1.6 billion will be spent in support of primary school students, grades 1 to 6. $1.4 billion will be spent to support high school children in grades 7 to 13. $150 million will be spent on transportation allowances for high school students.
Students and teachers at the Walders Run Early Childhood Institution in Silent Hill, Clarendon have kicked off the new school year in a more spacious and comfortable environment. This follows the completion of upgrading works at a cost of $25.7 million. The community is also boasting a new multi-purpose sports complex. Prime Minister Simpson-Miller officially opened both facilities last week, saying they were in keeping with government's drive to develop rural areas.
By increasing access to education for our children and improving the standard of educational facilities, we are making a significant investment in the future of our nation.
The Prime Minister also urged the residents to help protect the infrastructure.
Too often, people in communities sit by and allow others to come in and to destroy, to remove windows, to remove doors, to remove equipment. What we provide for communities should remain in the communities, but should be protected by the people of the various communities.
Work on the Walters Run Early Childhood Institution and the Silent Hill Multipurpose Sports Complex was funded by the Sports Development Foundation and the Chase Fund. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller also led her cabinet ministers in paying tribute to Agriculture Minister Roger Clark, who passed away on Thursday in the United States.
Roger was one of a kind politician, a son of the soil, a humble man, and I will always remember him for his generosity of spirit, but also his contribution to Jamaica as councillor, mayor, Member of Parliament, and Minister of Government.
Mr. Clark, who was also the Member of Parliament for Central Westmoreland, was on medical leave from his ministerial responsibilities. He left the island in late July to undergo surgery and medical treatment for a back condition. And the Prime Minister had a wide-ranging discussion on the status of Jamaica's healthcare system with members of the Medical Council of Jamaica. The Prime Minister and the Council discussed the quality of healthcare given to patients, the quality of imported drugs, the need for research into the medicinal uses of indigenous plants, and professional ethics and training, as well as the impact of non-communicable diseases on the healthcare system. Discussions were also held with Professor Denise Eldemar-Ashera, Chairman of the Caribbean Community of Retired Persons, who presented the Prime Minister with a copy of the findings of a 2012 survey on older persons in Jamaica. The Prime Minister also met with Professor Errol Morrison, the new chairman of the National Science Council. And that's it for this week's edition of Jamaica House Weekly. Join us next week for the latest from the Office of the Prime Minister.
Welcome to the FSC Minute. I am Nadine Newsom. Today we explore microinsurance and my guest is Rosemary Henry, Senior Director of Insurance with the FSC. Welcome to the FSC Minute, Ms. Henry.
Thank you, Nadine.
Ms. Henry, the FSC is exploring the introduction of microinsurance services in Jamaica. What is microinsurance?
Microinsurance can be defined as an insurance product which is geared towards protecting the low-income earners against risks such as loss of earnings, debt, and illness. This target group is not normally covered by traditional insurance.
So microinsurance is targeted at the low-income sector?
This is the target market, but because of the affordability of the premium and the type of risks that are covered, the middle-income earners will also benefit from it. The idea behind microinsurance is that it will assist with financial inclusion of individuals in our society who are not currently in the formal financial sector. This will happen whether it be through insurance or banking. The target market will include specific groups such as small farmers, micro-entrepreneurs, fishermen, domestic workers, anybody who is not now currently in the formal financial sector, and they'll be able to get coverage for products such as illness, property, term life insurance, and crop insurance.
You mentioned financial inclusion. What is this?
Financial inclusion will allow for the provision of financial services to mainly low-income earners who currently do not access with a banking, insurance, or even financing through the formal sector. Financial inclusion will allow for them to be able to come into the formal sector at an affordable and easy accessible method.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. My guest today was Rosemary Henry, Senior Director of Insurance with the FSC. For the FSC Minute, I am Nadine Newsom.
Up next, we hear from the Minister of Education as he updates us on several issues, including the Ministry's readiness for the new school year, drought, and the control and prevention of the Chikungunya virus.
Good evening, fellow Jamaicans. Tomorrow, the education system officially opens its doors to more than 600,000 students for the new school year, providing them with the opportunity to better themselves. Education remains the best vehicle to pull Jamaica out of its prolonged economic depression towards a prospect of growth and development. Now, last school year, the improved results in the CSEC examinations in English language and mathematics demonstrated that the education system has begun to respond positively to efforts to raise the quality of outcomes. And so, as we enter the new school year, the focus of the Ministry of Education is to implement policies and programs to sustain these early gains in student achievement. Nothing else matters as much. In this regard, starting tomorrow, we will be sending out 80 mathematics coaches and specialists to 150 primary and secondary schools, with the aim of improving the teaching skills of our mathematics teachers. We know we can rely on teachers to support this effort, which will raise student performance in this crucial subject. Principals and department heads have already been trained to lead the mathematics revolution in Jamaica, and the ministry is depending on them to ensure the successful implementation of this initiative in accordance with the National Mathematics Policy. They are the ones who are responsible. But you may ask, why this focus on mathematics? We have to count on maths, as the slogan goes, for our economic success, as mastery of the subject is a predictor of any country's ability to take advantage of economic opportunities in the 21st century. Just look at the Far Eastern countries. So during the new school year, the country will achieve the target of grade 4 students attaining mastery in literacy. There is adequate space to accommodate all the students who will enter school at the early childhood, primary, and secondary levels starting tomorrow. Mount St. Joseph's Catholic High School in Mandeville will open its doors as a grant-aided institution with approximately 180 grade 7 students and a smaller number of sixth formers. In addition, 16 schools, 3 high schools, 13 primary schools, and junior high will be taken off the shift system to allow for a more effective delivery of the curriculum and efficient administration. The new school year brings expanded educational opportunities for students and parents also in West St. Thomas, where the ministry has brought together Paul Bogle, Robert Lightman, and Seaforth High Schools into a district under a common management. Now, the aim is to efficiently utilize human and physical resources in order to improve how students learn. And we're going to do the same, in other places to better utilize teachers and school plant. Nutrition is an important area. It's critical to learning and development, especially among the little ones at the early childhood level. All the research points to many of our children coming to school hungry. And so, starting in the new school year, government will provide breakfast and lunch free or at little cost to about 200,000 students in this early childhood cohort. We're going to serve some schools prepackaged meals from Nutrition Products Limited, and other schools we'll invite to prepare meals locally in accordance with the ministry's guidelines, and they must try and use as much local produce as possible. Regarding the impact of the drought on schools, our ministry has collaborated with the ministries of Water, Land Environment and Climate Change, as well as local government and health, to make sure that at least some water is available to every school. Parents should try to provide drinking water, and communities, please don't use out the school water. Instead, help to supply schools where necessary. Also, The Ministry of Health has provided education officials and school personnel with precautionary information about the CHIKV and other public health risks. I'm hoping all parents will get a copy of this bulletin for their guidance. I now turn to the readiness of school plans. We've sent out as much furniture as we could, and that and equipment are in place to allow for the opening of schools tomorrow. All schools have received funds to carry out emergency repairs. They won't be finished at the start of the year, but they are not expected to interrupt normal school operations. Please be patient. We invite school administrators, parents, and members of the public to call the ministry's regional offices to lodge queries or to give reports concerning the proper functioning of the education system. Tell us if you see a problem arising so that we can fix it early. Regarding textbooks, the Ministry of Education wishes to assure the public that government has provided adequate books for primary and secondary schools based on the needs of the curriculum. Listen to me. Do not be pressured to buy any book which is not on a Ministry of Education approved book list. Teachers, principals, please comply. Where additional books to those provided by government are needed, parents, you don't need to get them all at once. Ask the teacher which is needed first and get that one. In closing, the Ministry of Education commends the army of dedicated teachers and parents who last year stuck to their tasks and have allowed measurable improvements in the education status of their students to be recorded. We are on the right road, to greater student achievement. All the indicators show that we will get there as a society, provided we have the enthusiastic participation of teachers and all stakeholders. We challenge teachers, school leaders, and the society in general to keep the positive momentum going in order to make excellence the norm. Make sure the children go to school every day, you hear? I wish you God's richest blessings for the new school year. Good night.
Guys, when I'm not ready.
Ready long time. Let's go. Ready, Mona?
Yeah. Oh, Shelly, I have a file for you for tomorrow, okay?
All right.
I'm gonna leave it on your desk.
Sure, go right ahead.
But Shelly, you don't shut down the computer.
But it not gonna do nothing.
But of course, when you leave it on, it burns excess energy.
I say go?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you know that the country foots the bill to import the fuel that produces electricity? Let's all play our part to conserve on energy by ironing once per week, unplugging all appliances when not in use, and avoid keeping the refrigerator open for a long period of time when removing food. Get smart. Don't get left in the dark.
Are you a male over 40, frequently having trouble passing urine? When you finally do, is there blood in it? How about pain in your bones, such as your hip, pelvis, or back? See your doctor soon, because these are common signs of prostate cancer.
The major risk factors for prostate cancer are age. It's a disease of the aging man. So as a man gets older, it's more likely that he will be diagnosed with the disease. In addition to age, race is a major risk factor. So anywhere in the world, men of color or African background are present, they will likely be suffering from prostate cancer at a high rate. Family history is a major risk factor. If a man has one family member who has prostate cancer, his risk is double compared to someone who doesn't have the disease. If he has two family members, the risk is multiplied by 5. It therefore means that every man really should know what their family history is like regarding this disease. But those risk factors of age, of race, of family history are not modifiable. We can't change those things. But what we can change is a significant risk factor of diet. So the diet that is associated with that increased risk of prostate cancer is a diet that is high in fatty foods, so the polyunsaturated fatty acids, the PUFAs as we call them, a diet that is high in red meat, a diet that is high in caloric content, a diet that is low in fresh fruits and vegetables, and fiber. So not only is it an inciting factor, it's a promoter once the disease is diagnosed. Prostate cancer in its earliest stage is a disease that carries no symptoms. It's asymptomatic. That means a man will be walking around, he feels quite fine, but he can have prostate cancer. The symptoms that you anticipate if someone has more advanced disease now are things like lower urinary tract symptoms. So these may be blood in the urine, these may be difficulty urinating, straining to urinate, urinary retention maybe, and the advanced stages where now the disease has spread to distant areas. A man may have back pain or bony pain because it has spread to the bones surrounding the spinal cord. He may be unable to walk or to control his urine or stool. He may have renal failure, but these are advanced cases. So the point is, don't wait until you have symptoms. Check the prostate, and it must be done once every year.
With the drought conditions over the past few months, I know most of us forgot we are still in the hurricane season. While we can't prevent the occurrence of a hurricane, preparation is the key to surviving its passage. Be sure to prepare a hurricane survival kit. It should include enough water and food to weather the storm. A first aid kit plus tools and supplies to do minor repairs are also must-haves. Clothing and bedding, along with sanitation items such as toilet paper, feminine products, bleach and disinfectant should also be included in your preparation kit. For more hurricane preparation tips, visit odpem.gov.jm or call 1-888-991-4262. And that's our show. Have questions or comments? Drop us a line. Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. Prefer to browse to get your information? Then visit our website, jis.gov.jm, or join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Jamaica Information Service. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.